Right, top 5 ball striking tips. Iron striking. There are certain things that I do when I play to manage my strike. So yes, I'm always trying to hit it in a particular area, somewhere near the geometric middle if you like. But when you play, as we all know, you might start thinning a few, fatting a few, toeing, heel, those kind of things. How do I manage? What can you do to manage where you strike the ball on the face? I'm going to share with you 5 things that I actually do when I play. They're just maybe not articulated, so you don't even know I'm doing them, to manage strike. Let me know in that comment section down below what strikes you struggle with, fats or fins, toppings. You hit a lot of good ones. Let me know in that comment section. As always, if any of these tips help you, let me know down there, and let me also know by giving the video a thumbs up if it does help you. If you're already subscribed, make sure you ring that bell. If you're not, consider subscribing. Got loads more great golf tips on the way. Right, we got Dan on camera. Hello, Dan.
Hello, everybody.
You're going to share your ideas on the ideas we've shared as such, aren't you? Your take on them. So, first one I would move around to try and manipulate strike is ball position.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to play one with the ball forward in my stance. This is a 7-iron. I'm pushing the ball, and you can see that up towards my left heel.
Okay, yeah, got that.
So if I hit a shot here, hitting that 7-iron into the green, it will come up shorter from there for me. So what happens is my strike moves lower than my standard on the middle of the line kind of strike. Yeah. So I'm going to catch that slightly clean. So what situation would I use that? Well, if I'm someone who catches the ball heavy all the time, by moving that ball slightly more up in my stance, it tends to promote a bit more of a hip turn, a bit more of a drive up to it, and it moves low point slightly forward for me. If anything, it slightly shallows out my impact as well, so if I do catch the ground, it's kind of less aggressive.
Okay.
Compared to if I was going to move the ball back, hit a slightly different kind of style 7-iron. That feels like further, longer, like a lower, punchier flight.
Yeah.
Very different strike point.
Yeah, very different.
So if you think about it, that club, when it hits the ball, is lower, touching the ground, interacting with the ground more than the first one.
Okay.
So both of these situations work for me for making sure I don't hit the ground first. I can use either one of those. I personally feel more comfortable having it slightly further forward.
Yeah.
If the lie is okay, but let's say it's really clean, I don't want to touch the ground because it's really easy to duff. Where I will put the ball back in my stance. Let's say if there's something before my low point, rough, maybe you're in a divot, stuff like that. Yeah. So I'm going to use that knowledge of where I strike it from those 2 ball positions to help me get round, because if I'm hitting shots from my standard ball position, and let's say I'm catching everything a little bit heavy, or more than I want a little bit heavy, then I might actually move it counter, kind of intuitive to what people think, slightly forward in my stance, a fraction, to just get that slightly lower strike on the face. Again, this is something you need to test, which one works for you when you move it back, when you move it forward. And I'm talking little amounts here. I'm not moving it massively. I'm playing within a playing field of ball position. So what I mean, those 2 shots were played from there to where that ball is. So my playing field of ball position, about there actually, was that much. It's a tiny, tiny amount. And from each one of those points, subject to the day, what I feel like, how I'm striking it on the golf course, I'm going to play with those positions to make sure I get the best strike for the situation I'm in. Short tip, Dan. Number 2.
So number 2 for me is hip turn.
Go on.
And I try and manage this throughout the round. So you've quite rightly pointed out a few times recently that the plague shot for me is an overturn with the shot.
Yeah.
And I then start to use, if I want to get to a shot where I don't, you know, I've got maybe trouble more down the left-hand side or something like that, and I almost want to shake the ball from left to right a little bit more, or even just trying to avoid the left side of the golf course, I will try and add a bit more hip turn into it. So I will really focus hard on turning my hips out of the way, which for me helps me kind of almost quieten my hands down through the ball, so I don't get as much flipping of the face as much, let's say. And that really helps me to kind of straighten up that ball flight, stop it turning over to the left too much. And then what does that do for strike? I presume by turning through, so you're talking about turning more on the downswing is the feeling. Correct, more on the downswing. So not more on the backswing, downswing you're trying to open those hips up. Yeah. I presume that moves low point slightly forward, does it? Yeah, because obviously as I'm turning, I'm probably being a little bit more aggressive with this ball going, well, for me, I tend to move the ball position a smidgen further forward as well. Yes, so it makes you chase it. Correct. Number 1, it makes me chase it, and number 2, you know, as I move that ball position forward, my path can quieten down as well, so I'm not going to be so in to out. Because you've got to remember, my benchmark my path is generally 2 degrees in to out. Whereas if I push my ball position slightly further forward, I can start to bring that path just down to maybe 1 or even sort of square.
So you're using a combination of my first point ball position and then in turn to activate hips in a different way.
Absolutely.
So if low point does move forward because the ball's forward and you're chasing up for it a bit more, I presume you wouldn't feel like you're going to catch these fat ever, or what's
No, not really, because it's making me chase it, as you quite rightly said.
Yeah.
As soon as I move ball position, but I've got more chance in catching it heavy with the ball position back, interestingly, than I have being further forward, because it just makes me go after it more.
Yeah. So when are you starting that downswing turn? Are you like feeling
it's a trigger? My hips are the trigger from the get-go. From as soon as I get that club to the top, my first feeling is I want to go with my hips.
Okay.
So that's the feeling for me.
And you can see the strike there. Look on that last one. The red one's always the last one for everyone there. It's low.
It's low, but look at also my path.
Yeah, it moves it out to
in there.
So I like that. You're using a combination of ball position, but then in turn, what that makes you feel like you're doing with your hips to try and get to that ball.
And if you look at the actual shot shape, this blue line running down here, it's starting pretty much on target and then just falling, 0.4 yards right of target. So I'm just completely, for me, that's just eliminating the left side of the golf course. So this is a little drill that I tend to get people to do. This left foot. So for right-handed golfers, I want to get that lead foot, that front foot, just turned out slightly. This is all this is going to do, is it's going to help me allow my hips to open up more.
Okay.
Okay, so because obviously, if that foot is squared down, should we say, I can only turn to a certain point where it starts to really pull on me.
Yeah.
If I turn that out, now I can really get my whole belt buckle to the target and my chest, everything pointing down towards the target. This is just going to help with that position. So just a few shots. Just feeling like that left foot is turned out slightly. This will also help me it almost gives me a little bit of a trigger.
Yeah.
So because that left foot is out, you might feel a little bit of restriction on the way back, but then it gives me that trigger to really feel like I can fire the belt buckle to the target as quickly as I possibly can from the get-go, from the downswing.
Yeah, I love that. I do this one with students as well.
So you open up the left foot.
Well, I get both feet pointing forwards, but I have them like 45 degrees left.
Yeah, okay.
Again, restricts backswing a little bit, but gives them loads of options of trying to move that way.
Yeah.
So trying to turn and open up towards that target. They can even do that with a sprayed open left foot as well. It really shows them how easy it is to move low point.
Yeah.
If we give them, like I was saying, sometimes like that electric shock, like stop, not turning your hips on the way through, give them the trigger, and then try and bleed those feelings into a more stable and kind of neutral stance. So it's not quite so. So do abstract for 5, real for 1, abstract for 5, real for 2, abstract for 2, real for 1, abstract 1, real 1, like really blend it.
I see this so much, and even just in lessons, you ask them to do that, and they literally forget.
Yeah.
They'll start hitting shots normal again. And you're like, well, hang on, we talked about maybe doing 3 or 4 shots, getting a feeling of it.
Yeah.
So important to do that.
That's why it's a drill, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a drill sergeant. Someone would be shouting at you if you're in the forces. You're not allowed to forget then. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So my next one I do, and I've done it recently as we play, my posture gets lazy. So I'm very quick to go, just kind of stand with a bit of a rounded back.
Yeah.
You know, everyone thinks we practice loads, or you do, but I don't. And it's very easy for me to go into default rounded posture. So I find if I stand with my chest feeling out more, shoulders back, if I hit a strike from here, so I would presume that posture looks quite neat.
Yeah, tidy, yeah.
And it certainly feels taller for me.
Okay.
These strikes will generally...
It sounded low.
That was low and heely.
Yeah.
I'm going to push them more out the bottom.
Yes.
And what I love about good strikes to low to bottom hits is I'm never flying greens. I'm always where I can see it. It's pin either slightly short, pin either slightly short, and I can game that. So if I just feel that I slightly change my posture, you know, I reckon we're talking millimeters in my physical height to the ground.
Yeah.
And it's predominantly in my chest, so feeling like I'm shoulders back, chest out, leaning forwards.
Yeah.
Opposed to shoulders forwards, leaning forwards.
Yeah.
Because what happens when I get a little bit lazy in my posture, I absolutely feel like I can get more into the mat.
you can hear that.
And I feel like I'm going to go left.
So you're feeling. So if I just point at your stomach area, almost.
Yeah.
When you get rounded here, it's almost like you're bending in this area. Whereas if
Correct.
you stand tall, you can now go more from the belt button.
It's here
down.
opposed to there.
Yes.
And that absolutely changes my strike. Again, so if we just show the last one, I mean, that's when I was overdoing the laziness of posture. Look how high and
that you can do that when you start getting a bit tired on the course.
Yeah, absolutely. And I see it when you show me the videos when we film. We take videos of each other through our phones and stuff.
Yeah.
Send them for social posts, and I think, "Cool, look at my posture. I've literally just got up there. How far is that? 82, and then I'm just like hit it." And as an amateur, when I was playing full-time posture, something I would have been so neat with all the time because I just don't want to give it away.
Yeah.
The other thing by having more what feels to me alive electric posture is it ties into what you're saying with your hips. It makes me feel like I can really go after shots where when I am sunk into it, it feels, you know, sloth-like, lazy-like. It doesn't feel as good. And again, you'll see the strike on this one. Not the world's best strike, but I like the fact is I don't want anything above that red line. Anything above that red line on a golf course is disaster. It's coming up 10 yards short and you're catching ground, it's coming up 20 yards short. So don't be afraid to practice your postures. The best way of doing this, I used to do it for hours when I was playing a lot. In front of reflections, in front of mirrors, in front of glass doors where you can practice a few swings. It's about seeing yourself from within yourself. That sounds so anal, I know, but what I mean by that is I could draw a picture of what this looks like. I can feel what I'm doing and it's the same as what my picture would be. And I can feel what that is. I just forget it sometimes. So absolutely being self-aware, looking at yourself, thinking like that's what bum out feels like, that's what shoulders back feel like, that's what shoulders, like logging on to all those feelings and then finding that posture that allows you to get that more consistent strike, which is hopefully moving your strike away from your patterns. Again, if I'm going to catch a few fat, I'm going to just instantly jump on this posture because I want it to stop on the course straight away. Stand up a bit, Mark, get your shoulders back. If I'm catching everything really clean, I might not do this. I might think my posture's fine. I'm going to carry on and maybe move the ball back or some other things. It's tying it into the patterns that you bring. Straightening up my posture for me absolutely makes my strike crisp to slightly out the bottom, and I know I can play with that. Soft 7 or hard 8? And that could apply to hard 8. So that could apply to any other variation. So soft 5, hard 6, or whatever way you want to do it. So you would rather bang it than finesse it when it comes to an iron if you were worried about where you're going to hit it on the face.
And that's where I am slowly changing. Like the more I play with you guys, the more I'm changing because I'm playing in a different environment. But I've always grown up being a firm hitter. Like I would rather hit something hard, drawing in, than go softer and almost fading in. You know, that's me. Because number one, it's my strike messes about. And because I'm probably so used to hitting the harder shot, I've practiced it for years as a kid. I found that when I tried to go softer, I would lose my strike a little bit.
In what way? Like fatter, thinner, or just anywhere?
Generally a little bit, I would say a little bit thinner.
Okay.
I tend to get a little bit sort of bottom of the club a little bit too much. And that's probably just because I'm not used to controlling that speed with all the parts of my body. You remember, you got to get all of this in sync. And sometimes if I go slow, some bits will go faster, some bits will go slower, and it's knowing how to manage that. I'm not to say that over time, again, playing more golf with you guys, I've tended to get better at this. But and it's probably because of the experiments we do. But I definitely feel when I go softer, there you go, softer there.
Feels cleaner.
It feels cleaner. I'm not sure where my body is kind of going.
Yeah, that is lower on the face.
Maybe my hands and arms get maybe a little bit quicker because my body slows down. I'm not sure. So
that's really interesting, isn't it? Because I'm the opposite. And this is where with this kind of idea and this top tip, it's not a one size fits all like any tips, to be honest with you, even though some might try and say it is. You've got to find what works for you. I'm a mixture of both, subject to the feeling. Sometimes I want to bang it hard and sometimes I want to hit it soft. So like wedges, I'd rather hit hard. But when I get to 8s, 9s, 7s and 6s, I'm actually a bit more comfortable going slower and feel like my strike is more consistent if I'm taking off compared to having to... If I know I'm having this, that's a 1-4-2 7 iron. So if I now try and hit a 7 iron 160... And I'll quickly show you the 142 strike, and it felt pure as.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. Now, if I try and go 167 iron, instantly as I'm stood over this ball, I think if I don't get all of this, this is in trouble. Where the other one, I'm thinking, I'm trying not to go too far.
Yeah.
So I've won. Yeah. I'm already too far, I'm just trying to go now shorter. In my mind, I'm thinking that's a win. This one, I'm trying to hit the 167 iron. I'm now thinking, it's coming up short, it's coming up short, it's coming up short. I need to do it this way, I need to do it. Do you see how negative it changes? Well, I've hit that good. That's me, 159, and I've hit that good. But you give me 10 goes of each. Yeah, I've plumbed it.
Yeah, middle.
You give me 10 goes of each, and I would choose with an iron the softer option for me or whatever. And I think what's interesting for you, I can tell why you don't like the softer one. When we've measured your body rotations, your hip turn at impact is not massive. Yeah. Which is why you can go into out and you hit your draws. Yeah. So I think what happens when you try to hit your soft one, you don't use your hips that much, and we start getting maybe duffy overturns and stuff. I've seen you hit them when we play. Where I'm the opposite. I've always got quite good rotations on the way through. So soft for me just means ball slightly forward, loads of turn, just take a bit of speed off. Yeah. And really lazy arms. That's a 1-2-6-7 iron, because I'm just chipping it up there, slightly in the hill. But look at it on the red line. It's like if that pure as off the face. So it's I think for golfers trying to improve their strike, you need, if you can't answer if you're better going fast or slow, then how do you know what to work towards? So I'm always going to work towards generally having too much club and ease off, unless the situation dictates I need the extra height of the banging 7 or the banging 8. It's that knowledge that makes you strike better, because you're always going to play to your bigger percentage of wins. Like if we did a round where you had to hit everything soft, you could easily handle it, but you'd be fighting more than if we say a round where you have to hit everything full. If you don't know the answer to that question yourself, you're definitely leaving strikes, good shots, out there for free. Right, this is the most interesting one that I've learned more as I've got older. We do a lot of travelling, and sometimes we're like up at 3 in the morning, travel 2 hours or so on a plane, dragging things through airports, get to the course, and we need to play. So we go and play. I tend to hit a lot of toe shots early on in the round. Matt definitely hits a lot of toe shots early on in the round. And I honestly believe, because we're very tight all down the back, so glutes, back of legs, down to the back of legs into the heels. Because I am definitely a golfer that needs a little bit of thrust to reach the ball. I'm a slight push forward as I turn my hips. And I just think if you take that away, I'm that fraction further away from the ball, and I get hit with the toe strike. So if you want to improve your strikes, if you are not warming up properly, then you're going to find it much harder to make the dynamic turns and twists that we're all talking about with the other tips, to make sure everything lines up with where you want to strike that ball on that face. Now, when I say warm up better, or be warmer before you play, lots of people think that means go and hit balls on the range. That's changed for me. How many balls do you see me hit on the range before a round?
0.
How many times do you see me stretching and running and moving around?
Yeah, a lot.
Warming up, I don't need to hit more balls in my life, I don't feel like. I feel like I've done ball hitting. Yeah. I'm doing a lot of dynamic stretching, star jumps, stretching out. This one TPI gave me, this one a lot, trying to stretch up the back. That is my warm-up. And if I do that at airports, on the plane, when we're waiting for our bags, and then a bit of the course, like, I have to gradually keep doing it until we get to the course. Yeah. So before we came here today, I started doing these ones. What are they called? These ones are tough and I'm rubbish at them. This is going to be funny. You ready for this?
Go on. I've not seen this yet.
So,
oh yeah.
What are they? Someone in the comments.
Well, there's a squat thrust in there.
Burpees or something.
Burpees, that's exactly what it is.
And like, I do as many of these as I can do with a push-up.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's embarrassing.
Well, I tried to do that once.
Yeah.
And really put myself out of action.
But that, mate, I did them this morning before we started filming. Yeah. At home.
Okay.
And then when you were getting ready, I did a few other stretches. I wasn't just hitting balls. Making sure I'm loose in my body. Yeah. And that's a bit strengthening and loose. Makes me able to get to the course and feel like I can reach the ball, crisping up my strike. I reckon if you did a study, let's get my breath back there. How many did I do there? 50?
Loads.
If you did a study across the land, how many people start golf physically, dynamically warm, whatever you want to call it, because as you can tell, I'm not really that clever in the old physical knowledge, but you know what I mean, loose, ready to play a sport,
Yeah.
I reckon it would be 2%, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's tiny.
It would be tiny who are ready to go
Yeah.
physically, and I reckon then if you did the study again on the 6th hole,
Yeah.
I reckon that percentage would just keep increasing of who's ready.
Yeah.
And everyone knows. Post comments down below if you've played not really warmed up, and you might play great sometimes, but absolutely for me, I've seen it in so many videos that we film where I just duff the iron down the first or hit a funny strike down the first few holes and then I just start striking it because I'm not dynamically loose. It makes such a difference to what speed I can go at. If I'm going at different speeds, I'm rotating at different speeds.
Yeah.
If I'm rotating different speeds, I'm probably rotating different amounts. And all these tips have already said that if I rotate certain ways and move balls certain ways, my strike improves.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to be warm. Do you warm up enough? I'm still out of breath.
You are, you're struggling, aren't you? Hey, you be alright? You're getting old.
Yeah, I know. Post comments down below. Let me know if any of these ideas and tips help you or not. If they don't, post comments. Let us know what you'd want more of. If they do, let us know which ones really resonated with you. And also give the video a thumbs up if it did help you. And hit that subscribe button as well. Plenty more golf videos coming. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you. Enjoyed that.
I don't think I'm going to do that one anymore.
No, you calm down. Go and have a sit down.
Shall I have a start?
Go and have a chat with Lester.
Yeah.